I'm Ben Hallock. I'm based in Houston, Texas, and I've been in production for over 20 years. Some DPing and also producing. I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit, but currently primarily as a DP. So this is a testimonial at a law firm, and so pretty basic interview. Now some people will throw up one light and be done, but obviously we want to do a little bit more than that. But so we'll just have a large source like a key light. In this case today I'm using an Aputure 600D with a large softbox, like a 48-inch softbox. I'll have, and I really don't need much of a fill light because it's a pretty large source and it'll wrap around enough to where I don't even really need a fill light in here. There's enough ambient and so on that also fills in a little bit. I'll have a hair light, and then, now I've shot in this room multiple times, so I kind of already know what I need. Sometimes you'll experiment a little bit more. And then we're shooting kind of out into this little lobby area. And then so I already know that I'll need a light, kind of that, the books and kind of that area back in there as well. We'll turn off those lights. Since we're shooting through windows, there's reflections and so on. So I'll turn off all the lights out in the lobby and in here as well. And once again, a lot of that is experimenting and seeing what you need, but since I've shot here several times, we pretty much know that that works the best. Shooting in conference rooms, it can be very tricky. Fortunately, in this one, it's a small table that we can move out of the way. A lot of times you don't have that luxury to be able to do that. And a lot of times like this is white walls or a TV that's like, blank, not very interesting. So it works best for us to shoot into the glass. Now, reflections are always interesting and a little bit tricky. We're gonna see some reflections of the room, but that's sometimes when it's out of focus in the background, those just kind of become abstract and the reflections are fine. We'll slide a plant in there just to kind of break it up a little bit, and then we also see reflections of that plant, which we'll show you that a little bit once we get to that point. All right, so here's a light that we're just going to use to kind of light the background. This one is an Amaran 300C, so it's an RGB light, and this is has a Fresnel lens, so you can kind of focus the light, and then barn doors just to cut the spill as needed, or if you want just a little slash light or something like that, you can do that. There's a lot of different modifiers you can put on the front. Obviously, a softbox is a modifier. There's other things. If you need just the barn doors, but you don't need to focus the light, or there's like a ellipsoidal, so you can like put different cookies, like patterns in there that you can kind of shine on the wall, make it look like window light or different things like that as well. So just different things to shape the light. All right, so when it comes to having your own gear and doing your own productions, a lot of times people want like all this fancy gear. And that's fine. If you're renting and you need like a tear deck with a monitor, like a wireless, like a director's monitor, you can spend $6 grand on that. And that's great, you can pat yourself on the back and say, hey, I have this nice fancy gear. But when it's for myself, it's my own gear and I'm the one using it, you can go with something that's gonna work well. This is a Hollyland director's monitor. It costs like $1,000 instead of spending $6 grand. The only difference really is that there's a little bit of latency, a little bit of delay, but I'm not like pulling focus with it. It's just for a reference monitor and it works great. So I can save a ton of money by using something like this. If I'm working with a client that wants a tear deck or something fancier, small HD, then that's fine. I'll just go and rent it for the day, but I can save a ton of money. And that's true of other equipment that I have as well. The question is, what's the application and can you get a good quality product out of it? And do you care a lot about what people think about you and whether you have the brand name or not? I do for certain things, but other things like that, I can save money. I would say most people that I know in production thought that they wanted to do a certain aspect of production when they started, And as time went on, they actually ended up doing something completely different. There's so many different roles within production, and sometimes it's getting into it that you learn about other roles and you gravitate towards what you like more. When I started, I thought I wanted to be an editor. Oh, I hit my mic. I thought I wanted to be an editor, but the more that I still edit some, but the more I did it, I realized I like being out in the field more and doing more production. And so the thing is, when you get out there, when you're starting, just get into as many roles as you can, even if you have to work for free when you're first starting. I think people are afraid to just get out there and just get around producers, DPs, and just get your feet wet and be exposed to as many different areas as you can as you go. If you find that you enjoy something more, start exploring those things, because you may find that you like those other things more and you're better at that. I would say you just need to be willing to go and even work for free if necessary. And ask DPs, talk to producers and say, hey, I want to learn this, can I just shadow you? Most people will allow it. If I see that somebody's motivated and they're not gonna, get in the way and they want to be on my shoot, I would let them come along and see things and help and whatever. And then eventually, if I need help and I'm gonna pay somebody, then I'm like, hey, that person is motivated, they're a hard worker, I'm gonna hire them before I hire the next person, even if that other person is possibly has more experience sometimes, if they will get the job done. All right, so we're just getting a white balance on the camera. So there's different color temperatures of light. And so the camera needs to know what is white based on the color of the light. So we just point camera at something that's white, and then I select the white balance button, and then you get, and then it says that white is at 5,500 on the Kelvin scale. And so it keeps your light from being green or purple or whatever different hue that might be getting spill from different places, or reflections from a colored wall or things like that. So I never say we'll fix it in post. So we always do as much as we can in camera to minimize that. Now, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about certain scenarios. So yeah, it's great that you have more flexibility these days to be able to fix certain things in post, but we try to minimize that. As far as lenses are concerned, I've moved to using, for a lot of my documentary stuff, just Sony lenses. The thing is it gives a lot of flexibility even when it comes to autofocus, which is something you used to never say out loud when you're talking about professional video, but they've gotten so good that in some scenarios you want to use autofocus. So I've kind of stuck with Sony. So I have kit lens, which is not the greatest lens. It's an f4, but it does a great job for some stuff. So a lot of times I'll get my shot set up initially with the zoom lens, and then I'll use a prime lens, which is a fixed focal length lens. This is an 85, this is a 50 millimeter, and they're also faster lenses. So, so if you're wanting a super shallow depth of field, like kind of blurred in the background, then you can achieve that easier with a prime lens. And so, but you can't, fixed focal lengths, you can't zoom with this, so you have to set it where it needs to be. So a lot of times, if I'm just trying to get my shot, initially I'll just have my zoom lens on there. Once I've kind of established where I want it, then I'll just see, okay, I need this focal length, and then I'll put that lens on there for that. Now, you can use the zoom lens, there's nothing wrong with just shooting with that, but I just like using prime lenses quite often for interviews. All right, so I think that, let's see here, what do I need to do? So there's a lot of great lights out there. I've chosen to go with Aputure brand and try to do that with all my lights. And the reason is because then I can use the app to control all of them. With Aputure, they have an app called Sidus Link. I just connect it via Bluetooth, and then I can just come here and I can control the light. So that turns this one, you can see it turns it on and off. You can adjust the intensity. I can adjust the color, green, purple, whatever color, which I'm not using color for this, but Anyway, so that gives me a lot of flexibility later. The same thing with my key light and my backlight, which is a tube light. And if I'm looking, I'm behind my camera and I just want to adjust just a little bit, then you don't have to run to the light and back and forth. You can adjust it from there. As long as you don't need to move the fixture, it's a great way of doing things. So there's other fixtures you can do that with, man lights, there's others as well. But I've chosen to stick with the same brand all the way through so that I can control it all from one app. Yeah, lighting is really important in my opinion. Doing a sit-down interview in a corporate environment or something like this, I don't want a super contrasty look. I want a shadow side of the face because that kind of adds dimension to the shot. But I'm not trying to create contrast, like a lot of contrast. Now, if I'm shooting like a crime show or maybe some sports or some interview, then I might choose to go with something super contrasty, where it's super dark on one side of the face, bright on the other, maybe colored lights in the background. On this, I just wanted to look like I sat down in the person's living room and we're just hearing their story. So in this situation, it's not very dramatic lighting at all. I have a little bit of a shadow side, but it's not high contrast. So anyway, so that's what we're doing in this scenario. The most important thing is to have a crew that has great attitudes, that has good character, because skills are critical when doing high-end production. But if you have people that are hard to work with, then I rarely will rehire them. So I think that's first and foremost. Also, when you're doing productions with a kind of a small to medium crew, where you have to do multiple, it's not like a feature film where you're a grip and you're just doing that one thing. I need people who are willing to help with everything. Eric has done audio with me for years and years. And the thing about Eric, he'll set up his audio and then immediately he's helping me set up lights and do other things like that. Some people, some audio guys are like, nope, I do audio and I'm gonna sit in my corner and do audio. And I get it, but I don't have the luxury of hiring 10 people sometimes. So I need somebody who has a good attitude, who's gonna help wherever they're needed. And so that's what I'm looking for in my crew. When it comes to DPing, one area that helped me grow more than anything else was hiring a good gaffer. A lot of times I knew what I wanted to do with the camera. I knew what look I wanted to achieve, but I didn't always know how to get there. Hiring a good gaffer makes all the difference in the world. And so, sometimes you want to cut costs, cut budget. That's one area that I would not cut, especially earlier on, until you've really developed those skills yourself. Okay, so a lot of people ask, is a degree necessary? Is it important for production? A lot of debate that goes in with that. There's nothing wrong with college. There's a lot of great things you can learn, but I did not go to college for this. I did technical school. It lasted it was a 2-year program, but it was hands-on from day one. To me, that was what was most important, most critical for everything that I've done over the last 20 years. I don't have a degree, but it never has kept me from getting a job anywhere. People ask me, let me see your demo reel. Work on jobs where you can build up a reel, and that's what's going to get you more work. Having a degree in this industry is not critical. There's a lot of great things you can learn at college, but if you end up with a degree and no experience, that's not going to get you your first job. That is correct.